Oh, goody.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we're back with another Marvel Snap video. So today, a little bit of an update. We got some free things you can redeem via the web store, and then I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite decks from Grand Arena that I've played a bunch post-launch and have had a solid amount of success with. First up, free stuff though. There are two new free offerings in the Marvel Snap web store. One of which is kind of a makeup for the Twitch drop situation. If you don't know what happened with that, some people were having issues getting their account to work with the drops when they ran them for the most recent Snap tournament. And they decided to remedy that by just giving a code that everyone can use. So you can get a random mystery border, premium mystery border, I think, and a premium mystery variant with the code Twitch2025. And then there's also a free Series 3 pack available with the code free S3 pack, all caps. If you already have all the Series 3 cards, I believe you get 650 tokens. So make sure you go into the web shop to grab that. Free stuff, always good. If you're in one of the regions that doesn't have access to the web store, I believe you can still redeem this stuff. You will need to use some kind of VPN to get into the web store, but there are free ones out there that you can use, so you should still be able to redeem your free stuff, even if you're not in a region where the web store is currently supported. So that's the free stuff. With that out of the way, let's take a look at some of the decks that have been dominating the Grand Arena. First up is the Mighty Mole Man. This has actually been my best performing deck of the Grand Arena. I think I went 10-1 with it today on stream. Just an absolute dominant performance, and I've been really surprised by it because Mole Man did not do very well last time around. The idea with this deck is fairly simple and straightforward. So we have a Victoria Hand style shell here to buff up our rocks from the Mole Man, as well as our demons and other generated cards from things like Nico, Iron Patriot, Mirage, and Frigga. What I really like about this deck, though, is it has a lot of pieces of interaction that are quite strong while still being able to put out decent points on its own. It runs what I think are the three best tech cards in the game mode: Shadow King, Valkyrie, and Cosmic Ghost Rider. Between these three cards, you have an answer for most of the decks out there right now. Valkyrie deals with things that go tall, Shadow King deals with things that buff up their points to really high degrees like move, and Cosmic Ghost Rider is perfect for silencing super strong ongoing effects like Iron Man. So if you're trying to stop what your opponents are doing, these are the three tech cards you're going to be wanting to put in your deck. Valkyrie has been especially strong here because this deck has so many cheap cards because of Mole Man that it's just easier to fill up the Valkyrie lane, so you can have an easier time winning it. Misery lets us reproc some of our powerful on reveal effects, gives us other demons from the hood while getting the -3 body off the board, and Galactus is just our big dude that can solo a lane. I've been really surprised at how well this deck has worked out. If you haven't gotten a chance to give Mole Man a try, I highly recommend it. Then we have the Thor deck from my Theorycraft brews. This one also did quite well for me. It goes really, really tall while packing powerful interaction. It's possible you could sneak Valkyrie into this deck if you want a way to deal with more big threats, but I didn't find that to be too much of an issue between Shadow King and Cosmic Ghost Rider. I feel like you generally have it covered on tech. Armor has been also a really important piece of tech because one of the decks that can outscale you is Destroy. So if you're not able to interact with them with the Shadow King or Cosmic Ghost Rider, just slamming an armor down into their destroy lane on turn 1 or turn 2 can really flip the scales in your favor. But yeah, this one's pretty simple. You're just trying to send Thor to the moon by putting a bunch of Mjolnirs in your deck and then copying that effect by using things like Firehair, Misery, and Frigga to get even more Thors or even more hammers. We have Beta Ray Bill as the other big go tall threat. You could put in another big dude to close out the game, like an Odin or the First Steps Galactus, but I didn't really feel it was super necessary personally. Then we have a deck from Ika that I found to be surprisingly powerful. This is a Clog deck, so even with a lot of the Clog cards like Viper and Debris being banned, it turns out Clog is still a fairly viable archetype, and I think this is a really strong version of the list. The idea is pretty simple. We're just trying to clog up our opponent with things like Green Goblin, Titania, or using Annie to send over Sentry's Void in the hood. And Magneto naturally fits very well with the Clog plan, because not only can Magneto or his skill fill up a lane, you get a big reward for the skill filling up a lane by making Magneto 24 power, so you can use him as a finisher to close out another lane on the final turn of the game. Werewolf acts as our main scaler here, having some nice synergy with things like Merlin and Green Goblin. Magic wants to extend the game because Clog just naturally benefits from that kind of strategy and having an extra turn. And then we have the normal main tech all-star here in Cosmic Ghost Rider for our interaction, Armor for Destroy, and Galactus as our other big dude to close out a lane. I really didn't think Clog would be a super relevant part of the format with the recent bans, but I have found it to be surprisingly effective if you're into that kind of strategy. And last but not least, we have a Hulk deck. So this is pretty similar to the one I shared in the theory crafting, but we did make a change here of adding Warlock. Warlock has been really nice in this deck because naturally you do want to float some energy. We also put in Sunspot to benefit from that as well, but it makes sense to use the Hulk skill, get She-Hulk to cost 4, and then you want to spend 1 turn floating so you can use that float turn to power up your Sunspot and have Warlock give you even more cost reduction, which makes it a lot harder for your opponent to plan how they're going to do their final power output. If you are seeing more Valkyrie going around, as it is getting a little bit more popular, you could consider adding something like Cosmo as a tech piece. I'd probably put that in the Iron Patriot slot if you feel like you need a little bit more protection from a Shadow King or a Valkyrie. But it hasn't been too big of an issue for me, but I think that those things are going to get more popular as the mode goes on. So if you're seeing more of that, maybe consider teching in Cosmo. But other than that, we're just playing big dudes. We're buffing up our Surtur, we're getting a cheap Scar, and we're having Hulkling scam us some games because he can have some very powerful 6-drops that he generates the text of. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this one. Those are my 4 favorite Grand Arena decks so far. I'd love to hear what ones you have been trying out and what's been working for you. The mode has been really fun this time around. I think the meta's been even more diverse than the initial time we played Grand Arena, so I think they did a great job with the new heroes and the added ban list. It's been a lot of fun. If you haven't tried it out yet, I highly recommend doing so. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to grab those free things. I'll have the codes in the description if you just want to copy and paste them. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.